Director of Contacts, APC Governorship Campaign Council, and former Minority Whip House of Representatives, Dr. Samson Osagie. Thank you for joining us on the program. Let's begin with some controversy surrounding this election. Precisely how do you respond to the concerns from PDP that the resident electoral commissioner in this election has some ties with the former Rivers State governor, and also INEC's decision not to redeploy him?
Well, thank you, Nifemi, for having me this evening. You know, in a contest, when you perceive that you are losing grounds, you normally, gladiators will try to grapple with every straw in order to drag the system down and possibly put the entire system in jeopardy. I don't know if there is anybody in Nigeria that will be deployed as electoral commissioner that will have no relationship with anybody. That is one. Two, I don't know whether it is in the place of a participant in an electoral contest to determine who the electoral empire will deploy for the purpose of conducting an election. I believe that the PDP is crying foul, crying wolf where there is none. As a matter of fact, I do not know the resident electoral commissioner. He has been in this state for a number of months now, and they did not raise any eyebrow. I wonder why they are raising eyebrow now. In any case, the resident electoral commissioner is not to be the one at the voting centers in across the state. He is not to be a returning officer that will declare election at any level. The election is not to be conducted in a resident electoral commissioner's office. Those people and those appointed as ad hoc staff by INEC that will conduct the election. So PDP is out of this contest, and they are working hard, you know, to discredit the process even before it starts. And that is because they know that they have no chance at all in this election.
All right, I hear you. I spoke with a spokesperson of the Aswa Igodalo campaign yesterday. He has a different tale to tell. But let's also quickly touch on the reported arrest and detention of 10 PDP members in Abuja. The allegation here is that APC's federal influence is playing a role here. Recall that this is why PDP shunned signing the peace accord. What concrete measures are there for your party to prevent electoral violence, considering past incidents?
Well, talking about electoral violence, it is the responsibility of security agencies to carry out their responsibility as law enforcement agents in order to prevent crisis and prevent violence during election. It is not for any of the parties to curb electoral violence, because it is the responsibility of the security forces. Electoral security is a responsibility of the joint security forces in the nation, and not for any of the parties to the contest. Of course, PDP is crying foul because it had planned to use its self-created vigilante in Edo State to maim, to harm, and even to kill opposition members in order to be able to have their way during the elections. And that was manifested in what happened at the airport on July 10, when the orderly attached to the APC gubernatorial candidate was shot and killed, and inspector of the police. So for us in the APC, we are poised to ensure that this election is free and fair, and the leadership of the party has given directives that no member of the APC should allow him or herself to be involved in any act of electoral violence or misconduct during, before, during, and after the elections. So
I hear you,
the PDP refusing to sign the peace accord is a demonstration of their commitment to violence as a means of achieving their aim in this election. And I think that speaks volume. Edo people should understand better that the only language the PDP government in Edo State, led by the governor at this point, knows is how to intimidate, possibly maim and kill opposition members for them to be able to have their way.
Well, those are very huge allegations you're making. However, on the contrary, I have a contrary opinion to the fact that security is mainly security operatives' business. Security is everyone's business, and that shouldn't change because we are holding elections. That's what we've always been told. See something, say something. the police needs intel from the locals to be able to police and secure them well. I also believe that political stakeholders should be more responsible in their utterances, not to, say certain things that can result directly or indirectly to violence. And I agree, you should be able to agree with me on that regard, that as we count down to this election, we should preach peace irrespective of inciting violence, right?
You are right, but let me say this. From the APC, you have not heard anybody say Nigeria will burn if it doesn't win the election. From the APC, you have not heard anybody say Edo State will burn if the candidate is not declared winner. From the APC, you have not heard that this election is a do or die affair. So as between the two parties, parties to this election, which party is more prone, and disposed to engendering a regime of violence in order to be able to attain their aims and objectives? I agree. Parties to the contest must conduct themselves in a lawful manner, be law-abiding to the rules of the game. And when they do so, then they help the security agencies, to make sure that the election is free, fair, and of course, devoid of violence. And that is what the APC is. And that is why I say it is not for the APC or any of the political party to dictate, the process of enforcing the laws and the rules, but just to be law-abiding and comply with the rules. The APC has not shown any attempt in its utterances, demonstrating that it was not ready for peace in this election. On the contrary, the PDP has taken fire and brimstone all through the process of this contest. And the APC has been worst hit in terms of attacks, during our campaigns.
Let's talk about your candidate and his action and inactions ahead of this election. There's the perception, Dr. Osagie, that your party's candidate has been avoiding exclusive interviews on national television. For instance, the PDP candidate is scheduled to join us on the news today by 10 p.m. The opposition has apparently filled in the gap, saying perhaps there is something he has to hide. How do you react to this?
Well, I am not the spokesperson of the APC candidate, but perhaps it is important to also state that the APC candidate has been throughout Edo State speaking to Edo people. And I believe that a candidate or a party can choose the platforms through which it communicates with the constituents and the voters in the particular district that it intends to contest an election. So, if those who are handling his media consider it worthwhile for him to appear and answer questions on certain platforms, so be it. I cannot speak on that. But the truth must be told, and that is the fact that our candidate, though not a motivational speaker, has spoken to Edo people on what he plans to do for Edo people. And he has spoken loud and clear, and I think Edo people have heard him. If
talking about speaking
on any media platform, that may be
talking about speaking to Edo people, Dr. Osagie, he also didn't honor the debate, the governorship debate organized by Edo State Council of NUJ in conjunction with the Nigeria Elections Debate Group and Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. I'm wondering how you respond to those who say this speaks, just a minute, that this perhaps speaks of a lack of respect for voters who are meant to assess those seeking public office.
On the contrary, I think it's not lack of respect for voters. Have the voters heard him speak? I think the answer is yes. If he had not honored such invitation and you think that is lack of respect, maybe you can say, no, he may have disregarded the planners of the event who thought that he will be around. In any case, the debate organized by Bond was shown by practically all the parties apart from the Labour candidate. So that is to tell you that appearing on debates is not a condition sine qua non, to qualify to run for an election. He is not a motivational speaker. He didn't claim to be so. But one thing is clear, and that is the fact that he has a passion that he has demonstrated over time in community service and delivery of services to the people of his constituency, his senatorial district. And indeed, that is what he's bringing on board for governance in Edo State.
So you don't think APC's absence from debates undermine democratic accountability and transparency, looking beyond this election, making our electoral process more robust and also getting the people to be more involved?
Yes, I think the electorate needs to constantly be educated on their rights. The greatest challenge to our electoral system right now is the fact that the persons, the voters, are yet to fully understand what it means for them to exercise their rights. And that is why you still have voter apathy. So the parties and the electoral management body need to up the ante as time goes on in order to ensure that more enlightenment campaigns are carried out for voters, to understand the need to exercise their voting right, so that you do not have 2.2 million voters registered to vote, and then you are not able to find 500,000 people voting at the end of the day. The way you find it at state levels, the same way it is even in national elections. There is a huge voter apathy, and that is arising from the lack of understanding by the electorates of what it means for them to exercise their right. That is one of the biggest challenges. And the second challenge is for all the gladiators to stick by the rules of the game as dictated by both the law and the electoral management body.
I agree with you to that extent. It's also perhaps why, moving on from this election, we probably, you are a lawmaker yourself, you probably should be reviewing these laws to perhaps compel these candidates to speak to the electorate, because they are vying for a job. You don't get a job without first going through an interview. But let us quickly talk about the political dynamics ahead of this exercise. There's a perception that this election is a proxy contest between politicians who are not necessarily on the ballot. The three main candidates are relatively new. Your candidate only won election last year. How do you see this impact on voters' choice, and whether or not voters even understand these individuals, or they are going to be voting for the political interests that precede them?
Well, we are talking of an election into the office of a governor. And like I told one journalist, if you were to take your 10-year-old son and make him a governor, you will not be able to serve as a proxy for your own control, even as a father. The office of the governor carries enormous powers and responsibility that the holder of such office needs to be on his toes to be able to deliver all the dividends that the people are expecting. Now, moving further, this contest is between expatriates and those expatriates who have lived their life outside Edo State and have been so disconnected from the people of Edo State, indeed the people of their immediate community, and a young man who has been part and parcel of the crisis and the problems of his communities and his immediate environment, and has contributed tremendously to their well-being. And that is speaking about Senator Monday Okpebholo, who you said he only contested election last year. Indeed, that alone is a testament to his acceptability from his immediate community and indeed his immediate senatorial district. And he won that election, in a senatorial district where his political party, our political party, has never won senatorial election in the last over 20 years of Nigeria's recent democracy. The other candidates are expatriates, like I said, who have been disconnected from the people and have made no impact in their immediate environment, in their immediate community, but have suddenly found opportunity to come and be ruler over them when they have nothing to show in terms of community service to the people. And I want to say this, mere possessing boardroom experience or professional experience is not a basic yardstick, to ask to be governor or to ask to be a leader in the community.
Osagie, allow me to jump in
demonstrable evidence.
Pardon me, we have just 2 more minutes to go on the show. How is this going to be different from what we saw the last time? The PDP won this election, right? I think about 13 out of the 18 local governments in 2020. In the last presidential election, it was Labour Party, that had most votes, defeating both APC and PDP. What has changed?
And that is the question we should all be asking. The Labour Party that came atop in that election that you spoke about, had a candidate who was more or less becoming a movement in the southern part of Nigeria. And that person is not on this ballot. Don't forget. And the PDP came a distant third even in that election. And that is why even as we speak today, the APC had two senators in the National Assembly and about 5 members of the House of Rep. So on the average, you can tell that the APC actually won more votes in that election with more representation in the National Assembly as we speak. And that was the first ballot in 2023 elections. So that will tell you that the APC has enormous capacity to deliver on this election and win this governorship election convincingly. And as it stands today, given the dynamics, of the emerging dynamics of the politics of the state, where the governing party has practically lost all its founding fathers and major stakeholders, you can tell today that the APC, which is now the beneficiary of the implosion of the PDP in Edo State, will definitely be the party to beat in this election. Right. And we are very sure that nothing and absolutely nothing will make it otherwise for APC not to emerge victorious in next Saturday's election.
Well, I guess time will tell, and it's just in 4 days. Director...
Definitely.
Director of Contacts, APC Governorship Campaign Council, former Minority Whip, House of Representatives, Dr. Samson Osagie. Thank you for talking to us on the program this evening.
Thank you, Nifemi. It's a pleasure.
And that's our program. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.